Hello, hello. Welcome to the Five Talents Podcast. I'm your host, Abel Pacheco. I interview the top commercial real estate investors and industry experts so you can learn from their experiences. So if you're an investor, a high W-2 earner, or real estate or tech sales professional that wants to invest in real estate without having to manage properties or leave your day job, then this podcast is for you. Or if you're already investing in real estate, but you're doing it part-time and you want to become a full-time multifamily or full-time commercial real estate investor, this podcast is for you too. You're going to learn a ton. You will learn from real-life multifamily investors and other professionals in the industry. They're going to share their blueprints for success, and I'm super excited that you're here. So I hope you enjoy the show. Hello, hello. This is Abel Pacheco, your host for the Five Talents Podcast. We are super excited today because we have another amazing guest for you, Mr. Jason Horowitz. Jason, how's it going, brother?
I'm doing well, thankfully. Thank you, sir, for having me. I'm very grateful to be here.
Yeah, I'm appreciative, humbled, and grateful as well. And I'm excited to have a good conversation because you're one of those individuals that we have a lot to learn from. You're in a unique position that a lot of general partners, principals, property owners can learn from. As Triforce Commercial Real Estate, you're the broker of record and also the individual that's an investor yourself. So we're happy and very happy to have you on, brother.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, no, I listen. Anyone could teach you absolutely anything, and that's how I live my life. So I hope I could add some value to you and your listeners, and I look forward to most certainly getting value back because that's just how this life works.
Absolutely. Well, as I mentioned, Jason is one of those forces in commercial real estate. In fact, the unrivaled New York, New Jersey commercial brokerage over there. So we're going to let him introduce himself a little bit. But, even talking in the pre-interview, we had a really great discussion about some of the things that he does for him, his people, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, and then also as an investor himself in a few properties. Some of the pivots that we made during the pandemic. And so I think we're going to have a great conversation for you. So Jason, if you can, in your own words, please give us your introduction. Tell us who you are and what you do, and we'll just start a great conversation there.
Perfect, and I'm looking forward to it. So my name is Jason Horowitz. I am the broker of record for Triforce Commercial Real Estate. We are a full-service, strictly commercial real estate brokerage licensed in both New York and New Jersey. We have a team of absolutely awesome agents that go above and beyond for our clients. And I'm just very grateful that things are going so well so quickly. Our business overall is in its infancy. We essentially just turned 4 years old. But due to the passion that our agents possess and all the fun things we have going on, things are most certainly moving in the right direction rather quickly. So I'm extremely grateful for that. In addition to that, we have a family property management company, HSC Management. We manage over 2,000 units in New York City. We have an independent insurance brokerage. I myself am a property and casualty broker as well. And we insure property in just about 20 states, a little bit under, but just about 20 states. So we do a substantial amount of insurance, especially in the New York City, New Jersey area. But odds are we insure property in the state that your listeners own property in. So that's another way we could add value. And that's what we're all about. We like to add value in as many different ways as possible. To be an asset to our clients to the best of our ability, of course. And, like you said in our pre-interview, in our chat, one of the things that I mentioned was, the beginning of the pandemic was absolutely devastating for the commercial world, especially in my markets that we're in and our markets that we're in. So what I tried to do was pivot and think about what can I do to, obtain what I would consider long-term wealth, a little bit more stability, and get a little bit closer to my end goal, and that is being an investor myself. So what I started to do with a partner, we were able to, with my father as a partner, we were able to acquire 3 properties during the pandemic thus far. I was able to formulate our holdings company, which was a dream of mine, and that's why it's literally called Big Dreams Property Holdings, LLC. And I like to have fun with all of our entity names because they all are meaningful and special to me. I know my grandfather did that as well, and I think that's why I take a special liking to the naming of LLCs, whereas most people might do like 123 Main Street
Their
LLC.
address, I use
Yeah.
addresses all the time.
Okay. Yeah. So, and there's and your accountant is going to appreciate that. My accountant's not a fan of what I got going on, but I make the rules here. But that's funny. But yeah, and I could go on. But I want to bounce things off of you and hear what you have to say to me. And again, I'm just so grateful to be here. So thank you, sir.
Yeah, you're absolutely welcome, Jason. I look forward to digging in. So, before we get into too much real estate, the commercial real estate, I'd love to learn a little bit more about you, because if you are listening, you know me, that we talk about mindset quite a lot, because that's probably one of the biggest hurdles and biggest obstacles that everybody has to overcome in investing in something bigger, is your mindset, right? Like, just how do people get to where they're at today? And you have a tremendous amount of experience there, so we'd love to learn from. Um, what How did you get into real estate? How did it even happen? What'd you do when you were growing up? Just that question. How did you get into real estate, and what type of individual were you when you were growing up, and how did you lead there?
Okay, so I'll start with what kind of individual I was growing up. I was a troublemaker.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
caused a lot of trouble, but
Here too. Here
you
too.
as well. Okay, well, I think
Mhm.
I eventually wisened up a little bit, but
Me too.
all kidding aside, my family uh, grew up on both sides, started in the projects, very, very, very humble beginnings. My grandfather, who's one of my biggest inspirations, I would say some of my biggest inspirations are my grandfather, my uncle, and my father. And I'll be talking about them probably a little bit more throughout this process. But my grandfather, my superhero, unfortunately passed away, way too soon. Um, grew up in very, very poor conditions, had a pair of shoes growing up with holes in them, didn't finish, it didn't even fit him, and he would stuff them with newspaper to prevent himself from getting cold and his feet getting wet. I mean, that's what I come from. And one thing that's very important to me is knowing your family's history. And in my opinion, I feel like I know the purpose of life. It's to take your family to the next level and provide them with resources that you didn't possess. And, I'm very fortunate that my family was able to make it out of that environment, provide me with the opportunity to accomplish special things for, my future, for our future generations. And, so that's that. A little heavy, but I like to have meaningful, depthful conversations. And, that's that. But I would love to learn more about. I know I'm the guest here, but I would love to learn more about your background and what got you into real estate, because you're crushing it. You're so concise with everything you got going on, and I respect that. I respect it a lot.
No, I appreciate it. I think we have similar in the fact that, my dad grew up in a house, one bedroom house, and I have 7 or 8 aunts and uncles. So there was all the brothers and sisters in that one bedroom house, and we kind of drive by it every once in a while and see where my dad and grandparents lived. And my mom, same thing. That house was like, man, I can remember it seemed so big when I was a small little kid, and then I drive by now and it's like, man, this is it was like 500 square feet, and we're like all in there, and that's kind of what San Antonio, Texas for me was a little kid. And then my dad and my mom, grinded and worked hard, and they've always both had the jobs, and they took us from I guess their beginnings to a little better situation. And we lived in a, frankly, a middle class kind of situation, a really nice house, 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom,
Wow.
1,500 square feet. It was like a nice house in a decent neighborhood. And they worked really hard to get there. And they didn't have college degrees or anything like that, but you could tell, hey man, they did everything they could to better our situation. And just like you, I want to work hard to better my family situation. So I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old right now. And that's a lot of the hard work, effort, and energy goes into that. It's how do I figure out how to make it better? And I know my wife is, she puts in the 24/7 hours and effort around to support what we're doing on the real estate side. So yeah, a
That's
lot of
awesome.
commonalities, a lot of
Yeah.
alignments there. Well, that's awesome. So the real estate side for you, what was it about real estate that said, hey, this is what I want to go do? And how did
Yes.
that come about?
So
Play.
I would say I actually originally I watched a lot of Law and Order in high school, and I was dabbling in. I was like, I didn't want to become a police officer or detective, but I was actually seriously considering the FBI. I even went down to Quantico, and a family friend was like a national director at the time,
Hmm.
and I thought about that. I looked into that, but I always had a feeling because, like I said, my family, what got them out of their bad situation overall typically revolved around real estate. So my grandfather, my grandmother told me that his first couple of ventures kind of fell through. It didn't work out, unfortunately. But then eventually he hit, and he was able to create a management company, HSC Management, founded in 1977, and now, like I said, we manage over 2,000 units in New York. So I would love to know if I wish I could ask him if he ever thought it would get to that scale, that point. But I wanted to follow my family's footsteps. One thing my father always says to me, or said to me especially, was that he wanted me to blaze my own trail and find my passion and blaze my own trail. And but what I'm passionate about is being involved with my family and everything like that. I'm very family oriented, and real estate's something special to me. And I feel like real estate is the way that you could achieve phenomenal things in the future. You know what I'm trying?
Hmm.
I'm like losing my adjectives, but that's the way that
Yeah.
you could really make special things happen.
Yeah.
And if I could be similar to my family, if I could, work with my family, and if I could accomplish amazing things while I'm at it, it sounds like a win-win all around to me. So that's kind of what led me into real estate. I was in school. I went to Monmouth University down the shore, New Jersey Shore. It's in West Long Branch, New Jersey. And I was an undergrad. I was business with a concentration in real estate. I
Hmm.
got an IT minor. And probably about a week before graduation, I was like, I am not ready to graduate yet. So I looked into getting my master's with a concentration in obviously, a business MBA.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what I did was I was able to get about, I think, 5 classes waived due to grades. And I was able to just grind, and I got my master's in like 8.5 months. And while I was getting my master's,
Wow.
I had like a full-time internship where I was working a substantial amount of time, but simultaneously, and I constantly bite off more than I could chew, but I always end up able to digest it. So it is what it is. I'm still standing, so I can make it happen. But while I was doing those things, I simultaneously was getting my real estate license in Jersey. And because I didn't know quite what I wanted to do yet, but I knew I needed it. So I got my license. I started doing some resi stuff, which I was not a fan of. I did not like the resi stuff, but I just
How
felt like
long did that last for?
um that probably lasted for like, maybe that part was like 2 years perhaps, but like
Okay.
it was nowhere near a focus because I was a full-time student. I had a full-time
Yeah.
internship. It was kind of just something I was maintaining because I
Yeah.
just felt like I needed it. I don't know. It was a strange feeling, a sixth sense.
Yeah. And your dad, was your dad I guess working with your grandfather and the property management company? He was doing that as well, or
No, so actually, my father has he's the one who owns the independent insurance brokerage.
okay.
So,
Okay. So
that's,
grandfather property manager, your dad the
yeah.
insurance,
So we
and you the
have,
property broker side of
exactly. So that's
it.
kind of like,
That's awesome.
there's a multitude of reasons why Triforce is Triforce. And if you ask,
That's a
3 different people what Triforce means to them, you'll probably get 3 different answers. But if you ask me, I could probably personally give you about 6 or 7 different answers. And one of which is, the management, the insurance, and the brokerage and stuff like that. So,
yeah.
yeah,
That's
so
pretty cool, man.
I was doing all that kind of stuff. And I was with probably, I think, about like 6 different brokers that, unfortunately, I feel like in the brokerage world, most people look at you just as a number, and they
Hmm.
try to hire 10 Jasons hoping one Jason works out. But my method, my theory with Triforce is what I'm trying to do, is create an atmosphere that's a positive atmosphere. We want a team of passionate brokers. And, through happenstance, there's a couple other agents, Mark and Adam, that are part of the team. We would not be where we are today if it weren't for them. So I'm eternally grateful for that. And we were then able to recruit more agents to come on board. And like I said, I recently expanded the team in Jersey. I'm getting more involved in Manhattan, thankfully, because uh, the majority of our work is in Rockland County, New York. It's just north of the GW Bridge. It's the first county in New York, just above Bergen County, New Jersey. It's the smallest county, New York County in the state. And it's unfortunately the second highest tax county in the country. And as I'm looking out my window right now, I see the first highest tax county in the country, and that's Westchester County. So that's just a little bit for, fun fact for some of the people that might be listening. But yeah, so I go off on tangents. So you gotta cut me off here and there. I
No,
could
that's
talk
good.
I could
It's
talk
good
forever.
talking. It's good hearing it and good talking. And it also, for somebody like myself that's from Texas, South Texas, I've been to New York maybe like 5 or 6 times.
Okay.
I have no bearing over what you're talking about, but I'm sure the people that are listening to this are in New York are like, oh, I know exactly where you're at, which is really cool. But I do want to shift a little bit because I want to ask a question around this. Did your grandfather, did he invest in properties, or is it only property management? And the same question about your dad, did he invest in properties as well?
So my grandfather did. Okay, so I hope I'm not butchering this story, and I do need to get it more straight with my family. But to the best of my knowledge, what happened was he was able to buy The answer is short answer. Yes, he bought
Yeah.
property as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
The longer answer is that, to the best of my knowledge, he was able to acquire property, start to manage other properties, and people started to see that he was doing such a good job with what
Yeah.
he
They
was
hired him.
doing that
Mhm.
he was able to then pick up more property to manage. And then, the rest is history, as the cliche goes.
Yeah. And your
Um,
dad, he did the same?
so my father, he owns property, but I think once he saw my interest in what I've been doing
Hmm.
and, for lack of better words, my capabilities of what I'm able to accomplish, because I consistently set what I call Elon Musk ridiculous timelines, and I meet every single one, because I'm just OCD. I'm anal about things. Anyways,
Yeah.
that being said, he sees my extreme interest and passion in property and real estate. So that's kind of what sparked his greater interest to invest. And that's why we launched Big Dreams Property Holdings, and we're
Yeah.
diligently and actively looking for acquisitions.
Yeah. Now you've bought first few properties, and the reason I asked that was I'm always curious as well on what generation real estate investor you are, and it sounds like you're third gen, grandfather, dad, and then you.
Yeah.
I'm similar. That one bedroom house, my grandparents, they owned that house, right? That was theirs, and then my dad had two. He had his house and a rental property. So there was two, and I'm third gen, and we've acquired a bit more than those two properties. But you have to account for that kind of stuff, and people think, oh, this is the first time. Well, actually, it's kind of like you said in your lineage almost. It's what you grew up with. You're around it, comfortable with it. Property management, insurance brokerage. Yeah, I'm gonna go do it. Okay, so this is pretty cool. So okay, you have now created a 4-year-old company, which congratulations, you're now past the roughest part. Most small
Yeah.
businesses do not go back past the first year or whatever the percentage of new businesses that fail. And you've been trucking along. And so tell me about your current day to day. What do you do? How do you help investors today in your area?
Yeah, so what I love about our business is that no two moments are the same. And I almost fumbled and said no 2 days are the same, but that's just obvious. I mean, no two moments are the same. So I one thing I like to say is I'm more of an actions over words individual. And I would like to say Triforce is as well. So I would say the extent in which we go above and beyond, and I'm trying to think of some quick examples but like other attorneys for, like, the other side, for lack of better words, would likely reach out to us to see what's going on, as opposed to the attorney. Like, we're thoroughly and heavily involved in the A through Z, every step of the way of every single deal for the most part. So I would say our accessibility as well, how we're literally only a phone call away, a text message away, even a DM away, because I would say that the commercial brokerage world overall is kind of stuck in its old ways like a dinosaur. But I pride ourselves on our extreme digital presence, going above and beyond, canvassing, not just physically, because right now in the New York area, it's extremely difficult to physically canvass, which is essentially knocking on doors, passing out flyers and things such as that. We digitally canvas as well. So I would say that's just a few of the reasons of what we do for our clients to go above and beyond. And for that reason, though, uh, I understand, as do the rest of the brokers and agents, is that we're trying to create something special, and nothing special happens overnight. And that's one thing that most agents, in my opinion, fail to realize, that we're in the relationship type building business. And when I was making the vision statement for Triforce, I kept it very simple. And what it is, I wrote it's for our vision for the sun to never set on those we impact, starting from personal relationships formed from commercial real estate needs. So it obviously revolves around commercial real estate needs, but the goal is for the sun to never set on those that we impact. And we're becoming a lot more involved in our community in several different ways, not just with business organizations, but with charities and fundraisers, positions on board seats and things such as that, because giving and philanthropy is something that's extremely important to myself and my family. And I don't want to get sidetracked. I could go on and on about philanthropy, but we've started scholarships. One of my dear friends passed away, created a scholarship for him in his name. And yeah, just that's that. So we try to go above and beyond.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, congratulations again. Thank you for sharing the insight. And it's good to know a little bit more about you all. Hello. You're listening to the 5 Talents Podcast. I'm your host, Abel Pacheco. If you're enjoying this podcast, then I know you're serious about achieving financial freedom. Are you ready to create your own path through multifamily investing for yourself and your family? Then I know you're going to appreciate our Investor's Guide to Multifamily Investing. It's titled Tackling Commercial Real Estate the Easy Way. We use this guide to invest ourselves in $93 million worth of real estate. So we're going to show you the basic mechanics of multifamily syndications and how to evaluate your next passive investment opportunity. So the best part, if you subscribe to our podcast now, leave us a review and a rating. I'm going to give you a free copy of our ebook. So please take a moment to do that now. Once you've done that, go to 5tcre.com/ebook, 5tcre.com/ebook. Make sure to let us know you left a review, and we're going to send you a free copy. So thank you so much for subscribing to the 5 Talents Podcast. We really appreciate it. So as we're talking about continuing the conversation of tactical things, tactical items for people to have, it sounds like we should use Triforce in New York and New Jersey for sure. If I'm buying or selling from your everything that you guys stand for, which is awesome. But how do I get to put yourself in a commercial buyer's seat myself, and I'm looking for multifamily deals, right? You've dealt with a number of buyer sellers. How do I make sure that I choose the right brokerage? If I'm looking at San Antonio, how do I know that? So maybe help me transition a little bit to like some tactics, some things that I can do.
Yeah, so I love this, and I'll interpret it the way I'm about to interpret it. And my
Sure.
analyzation of that question and statement is that one of our goals is to build a team of brokers that are also property owners. So one way that to help differentiate us from quote unquote competitors, because I consider our only competition to be ourselves the moment prior. That's who our true competition is, ourselves. The goal is to get better every day. But the goal is to have brokers that are also property owners. So if you had, Jason 1, let's say I'm Jason 1, I'm a property owner as well. I understand what the bottom line is like. I understand that, reserves are important. I understand that there's a human element. So you have to underestimate the income, overestimate the expenses. I could go on and on about that. And then you might have Jason too, which is just a broker. That's all he does. He just wants to sell the project, move on to the next one, probably never talk to the person you just sold the property to again. And, you ask for the income and expenses, profit and loss, you get taxes, insurance, and maybe you'll get some utilities, and that's it. There are no other expenses. What do you mean? There are no other expenses. And it's just, okay, that's when I deal with a broker like that, I move on to the next one because I know that's just not the right project. So if someone's looking to buy, sell, lease any sort of commercial property in the New York, New Jersey markets, we're well equipped to handle that. We treat every property as if it is our own because we know what it's like to be in situations where you have to buy, sell, lease commercial property. So that's my analyzation.
Yeah. Being an owner, I can definitely appreciate that. You want people that know what you're going to go through and know what you're going through today, tomorrow, and I want also a relationship with a great broker that'll help me throughout the process. Not sell me a property, but rather give me guidance, give me consulting, be an advisor, be a mentor if you can, because I want to be with somebody that's going to help me make millions of dollars. and
Of
and
course.
I want to use them to buy and sell again and again and again. Like, man, happy to, right?
And that's the goal. I mean, that's the relationship building, and very
Yeah.
consistently, or constantly as well. We tell people they bring us a property. We'll have people come and say, "Hey, can you analyze this property for me? Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Or is there anything out there? What about this property?" And we tell them that what, this isn't for you. The numbers don't work. It doesn't make sense, and they appreciate that because by being a broker, one of our cliches that we use is we eat what we kill. So if we don't sell a property, we're not making any money. But the thing is, we care we put the relationship above all else. So it's got to be, the deal's got to be right, and that's another thing that our clients and our customers in general are very appreciative of.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. And from the perspective of, let's say a good customer, I I know, or what I experience anyways, and you can validate yes or no, and then you can also give me some insight, right? When I hadn't done any transactions at all, I didn't have any broker send me any property other than put my name in their email list, and then I was a part of a general blast, right? Now that I've done a few transactions, I do have a few brokers that are starting to call me a couple years later and say, "Hey, there's a new property. It's not listed yet. It's going to come listed," right? So that off market look or that pre-listing look, the extra week, 2 weeks, just even to get out there is even that's helpful, right? Uh, I would imagine that those brokers say, "Hey, I've got to eat. I've got to send it to the right people that I know can close this deal," right? So that's why I didn't get the calls in the beginning. I'm getting them now a little bit. They at least a little bit of track record behind me. How do I transition from the you're on the list and you'll get an email to I'm going to call you first? What do you think your best clients have done or do with you? And maybe you can elaborate a little bit on this.
Yeah, for sure. I think you're making a great point because actually the three properties that we purchased during the pandemic actually were never on the market. So we were able to essentially locate those properties by, just sheer hard work. But that being said, I think because we're in the relationship business, one thing that I'll do with other sellers, landlords, other brokers, even, because I don't necessarily view another broker as my competition, because at the end of the day, we want to make a deal. I'm a deal junkie. That's what I'm a deal junkie. I like to make deals. Would I like every side of the deal? Of course, but I would just, my goal is to represent
Yeah.
my client to the best of my ability, and that's just to make a deal.
Yeah.
Um, so, I think one thing that I do and that other people could do is call up brokers, get to know them a little bit better, let them know what you're looking for, get specific. If you do own property now, for example, maybe perhaps send them the addresses, let them get an idea or feel if they're a good broker. They'll look into, like, where they are, what get a sense of what you're looking for. and yeah, just continuously stay in touch. I think that's what this life's about, and this business is about. And I feel like my theme of the day right now is relationship building, because I'll get random phone calls all the time saying, I want to present you this property, and they don't even follow up again. So like that's just, I think it's goes back to the quality over the quantity method. And it's very important to make sure it's known from the get-go what you're looking for. Does it make sense? If not, let's move on to the next one.
Okay, got it. And as a buyer, so one I heard, do what you say. If you're going to say something, then you better do what you say. If I'm going to present something or follow up, and I tell you I'm going to follow up, you better follow up at certain times. And then also, I think I heard you don't view brokerages as your competitor, but rather another opportunity or a chance to get another deal done, one way or the other, buy or sell. Let's figure that out. So as a buyer myself, what would you suggest as some of the things that when I call a broker, how do I present to you what I'm looking for? What are the ins and outs? What are the things I should say, not say? So help someone else here,
Yeah.
including me, have a great initial conversation, a follow-up conversation, and ongoing relationship with you, so that I'm your top of mind guy.
Yeah, I would say one of the most, I don't know if I should say frustrating, but one of the most frustrating phone calls I consistently have is people calling me saying, I'm looking to buy commercial property. And I say, well, what are you looking to buy? And they're like, oh, anything. And like, that's just like, okay, well, like, are you looking for multifamily? Are
Yeah.
you looking for retail? Are you looking for industrial? I could go on and on. Are you in the hospitality industry? Are you looking to buy a hotel? Because and we're familiar with, like, for example, when it comes to hospitality, like how many keys, the star reports, things like that. We pride ourselves in our knowledge of all the asset types having to do with commercial. But I think it's important to right off the bat say, this is my budget. This is how much cash I have. This is what I'm looking to do. I own other property that's in this sector. Maybe I'm thinking about branching off to that sector, or perhaps I only want to stay in this particular sector. I'm a multifamily guy through and through. I wouldn't mind, like, ground floor retail, but really what I'm looking for is a Class B apartment building, a Class A apartment building. I'm looking for 20 units, 30 units. I'm looking for 2 units, a 2 family, a 4 family. So I think it's very important to get very concise, because sometimes people think that when you speak in broad terms, it makes it a lot more simple and easier. But essentially, that just makes it more complicated. So I think it's very important to have an idea of what you're looking for before you pick up the phone, call an agent, or call a broker. Say, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm trying to accomplish in the future, because I think it's all about forecasting for the future as well. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to create a portfolio, but in what sector and things such as that. So I think it's very important to really truly know what it is that you want.
All right. Yeah, I tell some of my mentor students that's kind of the same. It's if you I equate the same. I used to sell cars when I was younger, and somebody that would walk up to the car dealership and I'd say, "Hey, so kind of what are you looking for?" They're like, "I don't know, what's a good deal?" And I'm like, "Well, there's a trucks over there, there's cars over here, there's 2 doors and 4 doors, there's convertibles, there's." I used to work at a like it was a BMW and Porsche dealership on one side. So it was like, oh man, you walked in. I'm assuming you're one of Porsche BMW, but we would also sell all the trade-ins, which
Yeah.
brought any kind of car, imaginable, whatever somebody's trading in. So I'm like, well, I don't know what you, and that was a pretty small one, but you could apply the same to a house. If you're talking to a single family property realtor, and and you say, hey, I'm looking for a good deal, any house, and it's your house, we're like, no man, which market do you want to live in? 3 bedroom, 2 bath, what price range? Is it new? You want a fixer? You want something that's ready to go? So you can't approach the commercial stuff the same way, because you're going to get funny looks, even maybe not living there, you maybe not driving it every day, but it's your investment. It's very different, and you need to be more specific about what you're asking for, right?
Most certainly. I mean, the application of everything you just mentioned is so concise. I completely agree. I
Yeah.
completely agree.
Okay. So, how do I, as a buyer, how do I make sure I'm a good relationship developer? What I mean, especially during the pandemic, right? I can't take you to lunch. I can't take you for well, I may now we're starting to
Well,
get
things
out
are
a
a
little
lot different by
coffee.
you than by me, but things are starting to get a little better by me for sure. But in Texas is a whole nother world than New York.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even then, but it's how do I stay up with this relationship? What were you doing this year? What were your best clients doing with you? What were you doing for them in this new virtual ish world? And I imagine some of the same things we're doing last year during the pandemic are still going to be with us in the next
For
year
sure.
ahead of us, right?
Yeah, so for most certainly, I think there's a lot of habits that we're picking up now that will continue to go on into the future. Um, I would say, consistently being in touch. I think well, I say back in the day, like pre-pandemic, I
Hmm.
feel like it wasn't it was too informal to do texting, too much texting.
Yeah.
But nowadays, because we're living in such an interesting world, and the lines of business and professionalism in some ways have blurred, if that makes any sense. I don't know if this is coming across correctly.
It is perfectly
Yeah.
well.
So it's more acceptable nowadays to text. Additional emails, of course, phone call. I mean, we'll continue to have phone calls, but Zoom, things such as that. Just consistently staying in touch, and I will reach out to clients. I'll send them a property saying like, here's something. I don't know if it's the right fit, but let's talk about maybe your interests have changed, maybe they haven't, but just
Hmm.
wanted to let you know that I'm thinking about you, and that goes a long way. That goes a very long way. I live on my calendar, and my calendar actually gets too crazy sometimes that it could mess me up a little bit here and there. But
Yeah.
I will put in my calendar, reach out to this client, reach out to this person, do this, that, do that, and it helps me stay on task and stay focused. And I think that's one of the important things is just stay in touch. People want to know that they're being thought about. Because it's just think about someone's not enough. You got to let the other person know. And I say that I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, this is good. This is good insight. So for a couple of reasons, because it's one, it's like foundation principles of any good relationship. We're not even forget about commercial real estate broker or not. Like if you have some friends, some family, some people that loved ones that you care about in your life, this is what you need to do, right? And especially when we're talking about a business relationship where there is no blood that says, "Oh, you guys gotta connect, your cousins, your brothers, or whatever." But like ongoing from a business side of it, um, as a buyer, I want to know that my broker is thinking about me this way. And if I don't get a text that says, "Hey, Abel, been thinking about you, brother. Hopefully you're doing good. Let me know what's going on." If I don't get that, that means on the flip side, I need to be the one that's connecting because they're not thinking about me enough to take that action. So I need to figure out how to get top of mind. And then I value those relationships a bit more. The people that are sending me those texts and letting me know. And yeah, the time and age, those lines have been crossed.
Yeah.
Whether it's working from home, now your kids are there. I think it was a huge faux pas in the past. You do a Zoom and you're at work and oh, his kids were in the background and this is horrible and so unprofessional. Now you got Clubhouse where I know my side is like kids are going everywhere and they're yelling and I'm talking and that's where we met on Clubhouse
Yep.
and that blurred the line even more because now you have personal conversations, business conversations, all coming together from wherever you want and yeah, I 100% agree. So I think some of that stuff is going to continue on well after we're done with this whole pandemic stuff, right?
Definitely, definitely. And I feel like, I mentioned earlier when it comes to investments, most people don't typically think of the human element, which is what if they don't pay the rent? But I feel like the human element, going back to the human element, goes like, for example, you see kids in the background. You hear kids, things such as that, going off of some of the examples you just mentioned. I feel like that adds like a personal factor. I feel like that could help us differentiate ourselves from, just
Mm-hmm.
a superficial level, meaning the surface, not
Yeah.
fake, but the surface, superficial level. And it adds depth to who we are and what we are. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's interesting. It depends on how you look at it, but I choose to look at it that way.
Yeah, I have my kids in the my little one has started coming. Well, before the pandemic, she would come with me. I'd take her like literally on the property, so she's younger. then we kind of stopped doing a bunch of that stuff where I'm like, let me just keep her at the house. Now, again, starting to come with me to some of the properties, and good to have these videos of her. And I know she's going to hopefully
that's
remember
awesome.
those back when she's older.
And she's 3, right?
And she's 3.
Oh, wow. I like that. I
And
respect it a lot. I hope that my kids would be very interested in what I do because,
yeah.
Interesting.
Hey,
Future
brother,
kids.
it's been, good
No,
luck
future
on
kids.
that.
Yeah.
Good luck on that. And it's going to be awesome. So while we wrap up here, where can our listeners, viewers, it sounds like if somebody's in New York and New Jersey, they need to be reaching out to you if they're interested in commercial real estate, either buying or selling. So we know who to go reach out to, the unrivaled, baby, the unrivaled New York, New Jersey brokerage. So where do they go contact you, and who do you actually want to reach out to you?
I would like absolutely anybody and everybody that's interested in commercial real estate, whether they are in New York, New Jersey, or anywhere in the world, who just wants to talk about something that they're passionate about, which is real estate. I would enjoy having those conversations. And those people could reach out via Instagram at Triforce CRE. They could go to our website, triforcecre.com. TRIFORCECRE.com. The CRE is commercial real estate acronym. They could email me, Jason at triforcecre.com, and they could even shoot me a text. I'll give out my cell phone is 845-323-9177. I always give out my cell. I have great conversations. Anybody could text me about absolutely anything and everything having to do with real estate because I'm very passionate about this and I like being around other passionate people such as yourself. And that's how special things happen.
Right on, my friend. Right on. Well, is there anything we haven't touched on, anything you wanted to bring exposure to, something you were hoping I asked and just didn't get to, something new in your business, whatever you want us to highlight while we're here, man? I'd love you to take your time, and the floor is yours.
Yeah, well, I really, really appreciate the outlet and the medium, but I am diligently looking for more agents and brokers to join the team. I consider ourselves to be like almost like a grassroots kind of movement. Think about all the major commercial real estate companies or real estate companies in general, typically somebody's name. But we specifically, one of the reasons why we named Triforce is because it's not a name. It's something that anybody could get behind and on and with. And diligently looking for more agents and brokers in New York and Jersey. So I would love to entertain and welcome anyone who would be interested in talking about that. I mentioned I do have a podcast with a good friend of mine, Anthony Iamello of the Iamello Group. It's called Property Hub. Our Instagram's Property Hub NYC. And I look forward to having you as a guest because I really appreciate it. You're an awesome dude and great. I could tell extremely passionate, and I'm very thankful that you reached out to me for this opportunity.
Yeah, I look forward to it. I'm happy to have jump on your show as well. And let's keep the conversation going. And we really appreciate your time, brother.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Well, again, my name is Abel Pacheco. I'm your host for the 5 Talents podcast. We cover all things commercial real estate and learn a little bit more about how to create wealth for ourselves, our family, and hopefully you've enjoyed the show. We'll hopefully see you at our next one. And again, my name is Abel Pacheco. I am out. Jason, thank you again, brother.
Yes, sir. Be well. Take care.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the 5 Talents podcast with your host, myself, Abel Pacheco. Each week, we're going to bring you interviews from industry experts and commercial real estate investors who follow their dreams and achieve massive success. Before you leave, let me ask you a few questions. Did you enjoy this episode? Did you learn something valuable? Was your mind stretched to what's possible and what you can achieve? Do you want other experts just like the one you heard today? If you answered yes to any or all of those questions, then please take a moment to subscribe to the 5 Talents podcast, give us a 5-star rating, and most importantly, leave us a written review. Tell us what you liked, tell us your favorite guest, give us any feedback. I'm excited to learn and improve so you can get a more valuable show. So thank you again for subscribing to the 5 Talents podcast.